Hello and welcome to Billion Eyes. Today, we are discussing the recent signing of the $1.7 trillion Omnibus government spending bill by President Joe Biden. This massive piece of legislation, known as the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, includes funding for a wide range of government agencies and initiatives. It has garnered both support and criticism from lawmakers and the public. One of the most significant provisions of the bill is the allocation of funds for COVID-19 relief efforts. This includes direct payments of $600 to eligible individuals, as well as expanded unemployment benefits through March 14, 2021. The bill also includes funding for vaccine distribution and testing, as well as support for small businesses and the agricultural industry that have been impacted by the pandemic. In addition to COVID-19 relief, the bill includes provisions for infrastructure improvements. This includes funding for roads, bridges, and public transportation, as well as investments in clean energy initiatives and efforts to combat climate change. The bill also includes funding for education, including support for K-12 schools and colleges to help address the challenges posed by the pandemic. This includes funding for resources such as personal protective equipment and technology to support remote learning. However, the bill has faced criticism for its size and scope, with some arguing that it includes provisions that are unrelated to the COVID-19 pandemic and could have been addressed in separate legislation. There have also been concerns raised about the level of deficit spending included in the bill. Despite this criticism, President Biden signed the bill into law on December 27, stating that it is necessary to provide much-needed relief to the American people and support the ongoing recovery from the pandemic. In a statement, President Biden said, "This legislation is about giving the backbone of this country, the essential workers, the working people who built this country, the people who keep it going, a fighting chance." So, let's take a closer look at some of the key provisions of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. COVID-19 relief. As we mentioned earlier, one of the main focuses of the bill is COVID-19 relief. The bill includes direct payments of $600 to eligible individuals, as well as expanded unemployment benefits through March 14, 2021. These provisions are designed to provide financial support to individuals and families who have been impacted by the pandemic. The bill also includes funding for vaccine distribution and testing, as well as support for small businesses and the agricultural industry. These provisions are aimed at helping to slow the spread of the virus and support industries that have been hit hard by the pandemic. The COVID-19 relief provisions of the bill have been met with both support and criticism. On the one hand, many have argued that these provisions are necessary to provide much-needed support to individuals and families who have been impacted by the pandemic. On the other hand, some have argued that the direct payments of $600 are not sufficient to provide meaningful financial assistance. Infrastructure improvements. In addition to COVID-19 relief, the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 includes provisions for infrastructure improvements. This includes funding for roads, bridges, and public transportation, as well as investments in clean energy initiatives and efforts to combat climate change. These infrastructure improvements are aimed at creating jobs and boosting the economy, as well as addressing long-term challenges such as climate change. The clean energy initiatives included in the bill are particularly important, as they will help to reduce carbon emissions and contribute to a more sustainable future. The infrastructure improvements included in the bill have been met with largely positive reactions. Many have argued that these investments are necessary to address long-standing challenges and create opportunities for economic growth. Some have also praised the focus on clean energy initiatives, which will help to reduce carbon emissions and address the urgent issue of climate change. However, there have also been concerns raised about the level of deficit spending included in the bill to fund these infrastructure improvements. While the bill includes provisions to offset some of the costs, such as the extension of certain taxes and fees, it is still likely to have a significant impact on the nation's financial position. Education. The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 also includes funding for education, including support for K-12 schools and colleges. This includes funding for resources such as personal protective equipment and technology to support remote learning. The education provisions of the bill are aimed at helping to address the challenges posed by the pandemic, such as the shift to remote learning and the need for additional resources to support students. These education provisions have been largely welcomed, with many arguing that they are necessary to support students and ensure that they have the resources they need to succeed. However, Some have also raised concerns about the level of funding included in the bill, and whether it will be sufficient to meet the needs of schools and colleges. Criticism of the bill. While the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 has received support from many lawmakers and the public, it has also faced criticism. One of the main criticisms of the bill is that it includes provisions that are unrelated to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that could have been addressed in separate legislation. For example, the bill includes funding for a wide range of government agencies and initiatives, including the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. While these agencies and initiatives may be important, some have argued that they should not have been included in a bill that is primarily focused on COVID-19 relief. Another concern about the bill is its impact on the deficit. The $1.7 trillion cost of the bill is likely to add significantly to the national debt, and some have argued that this level of deficit spending is unsustainable in the long term. While the bill includes provisions to offset some of the costs, such as the extension of certain taxes and fees, it is still likely to have a significant impact on the nation's financial position. It is difficult to predict exactly how the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 will impact inflation in 2023. Inflation is influenced by a number of factors, including economic growth, the availability of goods and services, and the level of demand for those goods and services. One potential impact of the bill on inflation could be the increased demand for goods and services as a result of the COVID-19 relief provisions. The direct payments of $600 to eligible individuals, as well as the expanded unemployment benefits, may lead to increased consumer spending, which could in turn lead to higher prices for goods and services. Another potential impact on inflation could be the increased government spending included in the bill, particularly the infrastructure improvements and clean energy initiatives. This increased spending could stimulate economic growth and lead to higher demand for goods and services, which could contribute to higher prices. However, it is important to note that the bill also includes provisions to offset some of the costs, such as the extension of certain taxes and fees. These provisions may help to mitigate the impact on inflation. Ultimately, the impact of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 on inflation in 2023 will depend on a variety of factors, including the overall state of the economy and the level of demand for goods and services. It is important to monitor these factors closely and consider their potential impact on inflation in the coming years. Despite these criticisms, President Biden signed the bill into law on December 27, stating that it is necessary to provide much-needed relief to the American people and support the ongoing recovery from the pandemic. In his statement, President Biden emphasized the importance of supporting essential workers and the working people who have been impacted by the pandemic. Looking forward, as the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 is implemented in the coming weeks and months, it will be interesting to see how it affects different sectors of the economy and society. For example, the COVID-19 relief provisions of the bill are likely to have a significant impact on individuals and families who are struggling financially due to the pandemic. The infrastructure improvements and clean energy initiatives included in the bill may also have a positive impact on the economy and the environment. It remains to be seen how effective this bill will be in addressing the challenges facing our nation, but it is clear that it represents a significant step forward in addressing the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and supporting the recovery of the economy. Thank you for watching Billionize and for joining us in discussing the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. We hope that you found this video informative and insightful. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving the video a like. By subscribing and liking our videos, you can help us to continue producing high-quality content on important topics like this one. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more updates and analysis on this and other important issues in the future. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.